So, free enterprise prosperity. Are we ditching big government socialism and going back to free enterprise prosperity because of the new House GOP? Well, I don't know. Let's ask Kevin Hassett, former chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, author of The Drift, Stopping America's Slide to Socialism. I still think it's the most important book. Maybe this does stop the slide to socialism. And Steve Moore, FreedomWorks, and Committee to Unleash Prosperity and Heritage Foundation and Govzilla. So, I don't know. Look, Kevin Hassett, I am reminded, I don't know where I read this again, but it reminded me for the umpteenth time. Basically, from the end of World War II, call it 1947, the modern era of statistics, through the year 2000, real GDP grows at 3.5% a year. That's a big number, 3.5% per year for over 50 years. Since the year 2000, it grows at 1.7% per year. So that's a big difference. That's a difference in growth, prosperity, happiness, jobs, American strength. Now, Kevin, are we getting back on the right track? How do you look at what came out of the whole speakership debate with the conservative reforms and so forth? Are we moving in the right direction, Kevin Hassett?
Sure. Well, we're not moving in the right direction yet, but we might. And the bottom line is why that growth number that you talked about happened is that the government just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
And when you spend, counting state governments, 30% of GDP on government, then 1/3 of all of the riches that your country makes go into something that doesn't innovate, doesn't create new products, doesn't march the economy forward. And so the bigger the government is, the slower the growth is. And that's really the main story for that. And so then going back to Speaker McCarthy, he has a strong desire to reduce the size of government. If he's successful, which I think he can be, because there's a debt limit that's going to be hit around August or September, and the Republicans in the House don't have to lift it. They can play chicken with the Democrats and say, look, you got to cut the heck out of spending if you want to see the debt limit go up. You remember Speaker Boehner said dollar for dollar and actually got spending cuts out of them. And so I think that Speaker McCarthy is the kind of guy that can have success at reducing spending. And if he does, then maybe we can head back towards that 3% that you mentioned.
Well, that's the thing. So, Steve Moore, first of all, are you in agreement with what Kevin Hassett is saying? And, Steve, in general, when you look at the package of rules, resolutions, reforms, and so forth, what do you make of it? Did they get done what you wanted to get done?
Yeah, just to punctuate a point that Kevin made, because I want to repeat it because it's so important. The difference between 25 years ago and today has been the massive growth of government. And our buddy Arthur Laffer likes to say that spending is taxation. It's a weight on the economy. And Kevin's also right. It's not like we're spending the money on productive things. We're buying windmills and things like that that have no economic return whatsoever. So there's a huge misallocation of capital resources in this country. Now, did what happened this weekend make a difference? I think it did. I think it was a big victory for the fiscal conservatives in Congress. So I don't agree with everything they did and every demand they made. But I think it's actually, in a way, I think, Larry, it's going to make Kevin McCarthy's job easier because they've stated very plainly, the House has now, that they are going to not pass a debt ceiling bill until there are some meaningful fiscal reforms, budget cuts, change, what do they call it? Cut as you go.
Cut go.
The kinds of things that need to be made
Cut go.
What do they call it?
Cut go.
Cut go. I like that.
Better than pay go.
So,
cut go.
And they're making an announcement to Chucky Schumer and Joe Biden. Look, of course we don't want to have a debt issue or something like that. But the most important thing is we've got to get spending down. We have to have a plan. It's like if you went to a bank and you were in debt and you said, just give me a $1 million loan, the bank would say, well, what's your plan for getting out of debt? There is no plan on the Democratic Party side. So we'll see. I think that's going to be the big moment. Kevin's exactly right. That will come in the late summer. And I don't want Republicans to blink like they normally do.
Kevin Hassett, will the Trump tax cuts be sufficiently protected? Because, as you know, in the omnibus bill and in the misnamed Inflation Reduction Act, they chipped away at the tax cuts. They chipped away at the full expensing of the R&D tax credit, and they also chipped away, they took 20% of the bonus depreciation off, two very pro-growth things. You yourself created the theory on why that helps the middle class and the blue-collar workers. Now, this new iteration, the new rules, the new budget toughness of the GOP, the McCarthy House and so forth, Kevin, will they protect the Trump tax cuts? Because they're going to be expiring, as you well know, in the next couple of years.
You know, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen, sadly. And the things that are expiring because of Bob Corker, you remember that with the fights that we had with him over making things permanent? You know, he basically built in a defeat for Republicans. And, you know, until you get a Republican in the White House, those, you know, that anti-growth policy is almost sure to happen. But what they can do is draw a line on spending. And as, you know, our friend Art Laffer, we keep quoting him today, says, you know, spending is taxation. It's not taxation today, it's taxation of the future. But if you cut spending, then you're cutting taxes in the future, giving people a reason to be optimistic and to invest in the future of our economy. And so I think the spending showdown this year is really important. If you look at the latest CBO outlook, they've got publicly held debt to GDP going to 200% by the end of their outlook. And so what that means is, suppose the interest rate's 5%, that we're spending 10% of GDP on interest rates alone every year. You know, that's more than we spend on defense by a lot. And so if we don't get ahead of the curve on this, we're going to be Weimar Germany. And, you know, I think that we will get ahead of the curve on this because McCarthy has no hope. Like if you look at it, he barely made it as speaker. If he caves on the debt limit, then he'll lose his job.
Steve Moore, I kind of like the return to the 3/5 in order to raise tax rates. I think that gives you some protection. I don't know how that's going to be applied. See, because Kevin is right. I mean, because of the revenue machinations of the Bob Corkers of the world, who was long and departed. But the fact is, you could make a case that any expiring Trump tax cuts would have to be get a 3/5 majority. They'll never get it. So I wonder whether the House might be in better shape to protect low tax rates and maybe create a new agenda, Steve. You're going to get a Ways and Means Committee chair, new budget chair. Maybe we can look at a prosperity plan for, let's say, a Steve Forbes flat tax. How about that, Steve Moore?
I love it. And, you know, what you're talking about is not uncommon in states. There are about 20 to 25 states that do have supermajority requirements to raise tax rates. So why can't we have that in Washington? Why would you repeal a tax cut that you and Kevin had so much to do with when it's been such a success? I mean, it would be one thing if it had been a failure, but it was a success. It raised money. Kevin, how much money did we bring back into the United States? Something like $1 trillion of capital through repatriation when we cut our rates. So, you know, however you cut it, however you look at it, it was a major success. I want to bring up one other thing on the tax front. Art Laffer and I have a piece on this. We also have to index capital gains tax for inflation. Do you know this past year we had the highest real tax on capital gains since 1980? The real effective rate on capital gains went up to over 40%, Larry. Why
didn't you include me and Kevin on that op-ed piece? You know, you left us out.
Yeah, well, we should have. I know you guys believe in that too, but inflation is a big tax on investors. I'm really worried about the investment outlook in this country right now because there's just no incentives. Kevin and Larry, where are the incentives going to come from to grow this economy? Because you can cut, and I'm in favor of cutting government spending, but you have to get the revenues up by, as happened under Clinton, by growing the economy.
Well, whatever happened to the Laffer curve? You know, Kevin Hassett, just one thought. We got to get out, but this is the most fun I've had with you two guys in a long time. Ira Stoll, who's a columnist for the New York Sun, he's a very smart guy. He wrote a piece, very interesting piece, that said individuals can cut their own taxes by moving to low tax or zero tax states. Isn't that interesting? In other words, if you move, if I moved from New York and or Connecticut to Florida, I would have just cut my taxes. Like, that's pretty cool. You're tax cutting, self-serving, self-promoting. I don't know what the right phraseology is, but that's pretty cool. Like, the whole country could be moving into these low tax, zero tax states, and then nobody would be left living in blue states. What do you think of that, Kevin Hassett?
Yeah, and that's happening, and you can tell from my backdrop that I'm in Miami. I was literally today talking to one of the best mayors in the country,
yes.
and he's got a massive budget surplus, even though they're one of the lowest tax cities, even in Florida. And so he's proving the Reagan point right here in Miami. And every firm from New York and from Chicago is moving here. He mentioned to me that $2 trillion in assets under management have moved to Miami over the last couple of years. And so everybody's coming down here to Florida to do exactly what you're saying. And the question is, what's the equilibrium for New York State? And my view is it either becomes like Detroit, or they get religion and they start having policies like Florida.
I mean, the only rule of the House.
By the way, one of the
House rule. I got to get out. But the only House rule missing is that the House should have legislated the Laffer curve, just to make it the Laffer curve the law, and you'd have.
Well, thank God, Larry, you guys
scoring.
did. You remember,
I got to get out.
You did one really great thing. I just say one quick thing, Larry. You did you didn't allow the state and local tax deduction any longer, and that's provided further incentives to get out of Dodge if you're in New York or California and move to Florida or Texas or Tennessee.
Kevin Hassett was the brains behind the whole operation. I had nothing to do with it. He was the brains behind the whole operation. Steve Moore and Kevin Hassett, thank you.